Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular meeting of Quispamsis Town Council for January 20th, 2026. I'd like to call this meeting to order. May I have an approval of the agenda, please? Councillor Bigger, seconded by Deputy Mayor Scryer. Please vote. Who?
Councillor Bigger.
Councillor Bigger.
Sorry, yeah.
Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. May I have the land acknowledgement, please? Councillor Thompson.
We would like to respectfully acknowledge that Quispamsis exists on the traditional territory of the Wolastoqey, Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq people, whose ancestors, along with the Passamaquoddy tribes, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s. We would like to take this moment to pay respect to the elders, past and present, and the descendants of the traditional territory. And may we remind ourselves of the important work we have before us tonight. May we make good decisions without prejudice or bias and always in the best interest of our community, which we are here to serve.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I have a few remarks this evening. On behalf of Council and myself, I would like to welcome everybody back to Quispamsis Town Council meetings. And I hope everyone enjoyed a safe and happy holiday season as we prepare for another exciting year in our region. It's already shaping up to be a busy year with many projects taking shape, and we're into the final 5 months of this council's special 5-year mandate with the municipal election coming up this May. Also, Fundy Winter Fest is back for another season of activities. Quispamsis has teamed up with other communities in our region to host and promote events that help keep our residents active in cold months. Local events in Quispamsis are happening in February, including a community art event, Feisty Friday snowshoeing, the Trail of Hearts, Family Day in Quispamsis, and much, much more. For details in our local events, visit the events calendar on our website, quispamsis.ca, and follow Fundy Winterfest on Facebook to find dates and locations of other activities throughout the region. And I am pleased to let you know that the outdoor skating rink that has been closed for the past 2 weeks with balmy weather is now open again. Now you're just going to have to watch out for frostbite. So come along and enjoy it. It's open from 10 till 10 every day. And there are still a few lights on out there from our winter wonderlands, so you still get to enjoy some of those beautiful lights that we are so grateful for having throughout the holiday season. And a special thank you to everyone who came to see our Winter Wonderland display and the hardworking staff who do such an amazing job at creating it every year. And the number of praises that we get here at the office for the work that this town has done and that our staff have done is quite a pleasure actually to hear from all of these residents and people from outside the municipality of Quispamsis. So please exercise caution when using our trails, as icy and slippery conditions are present throughout the trail network. Trails remain open during the winter months, but many are not groomed or maintained. The QR trail is plowed and sanded regularly. Groomed trails include the Trans-Canada Trail, the Loop at Meanans Cove Park, and the gravel trail at Millennium Cycle Bike Park. Icy conditions have been noted on groomed trails as well. Sometimes we get that frost and thaw, and then the temperature dips, and we're back to icy conditions again. So please come out and enjoy the trails, but remember you are using them at your own risk. Exciting hockey action is taking place this weekend at the Q-Plex. The New Brunswick Female AAA Showcase features high-performance competition at the U13, 15, and 18 levels. Every female AAA hockey team in New Brunswick will be at this showcase from Friday till Sunday, January 23rd to the 25th. For details, follow the New Brunswick Female AAA Hockey League on Facebook. So get out and watch some really exciting hockey. Service New Brunswick has begun mailing out property assessment notices for 2026. I'm sure we are all checking the mailbox daily and quite excited to see what happens here. But as a reminder, assessments were frozen this year as the New Brunswick government reviews the property tax system. That means most property values for taxation purposes will remain the same as they were in 2025. If you have any questions about your property assessment, please contact Service New Brunswick. A new application window for our Community Investment Program is now open. The Community Investment Program supports individuals, groups, and organizations that contribute to the quality of life of our residents. The application link can be found on the Applications and Forms page of our website, quispamsis.ca, under the General Applications heading. The deadline for applications is Tuesday, February the 3rd. And high school students in our region are getting ready for their second term. I want to wish everyone good luck on their exams as first term comes to an end. Next Monday, January 26th, is Kawasaki Disease Awareness Day in Canada. Kawasaki disease is a rare illness primarily affecting young children. It causes inflammation in the blood vessels, especially the coronary arteries, leading to symptoms like high fever, rash, red eyes, cracked lips, and swollen hands and feet. It is estimated that 30 of every 100,000 children in Canada are affected by Kawasaki disease every year. Early detection and diagnosis can be a matter of life and death for these children. For more information, please visit kdcanada.org. Thank you for listening tonight, and we will move forward with our meeting. I am looking for a disclosure of interests. Councillor Thompson, I believe you will be removed, or remove yourself when you will. I won't come down after you. Okay, thank you. Item 5A, presentation, Hampton Road Corridor, concept design and next steps. And we have Andrew Northmore from Englobe Corp. Welcome, Andrew. Can you hear and see us okay?
I absolutely can, Your Worship.
Thank you, and we can hear you and see you perfectly, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. I will share my screen so we can pull this presentation up. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to let me come in and talk about where we are currently sitting with this project, which I know is very exciting for the community. Very big investment, but also very exciting. So the presentation today, really just going to try to give a little reminder of where we are in terms of the design stage for this project, where things kind of wrapped up towards the end of that last year and where they're going into this year. So just a little reminder. So for the project area, we're mostly talking about Hampton Road Corridor, but it does include Landing Court as well, as you can see here on this map. It's Hampton Road from Pinewood to the Rothsay Town Line, and that section of Landing Court. I know you've seen this several times before. So it's a it's a decent stretch of road through very much the heart of the community, through where a lot of the commercial developments are and some of the cultural destinations and libraries and those sorts of things, making it a very important stretch of roadway through the town. And what we are doing on this project is a very holistic review of the infrastructure. So the primary item is adding water utility throughout the corridor. But while the road is open, also looking at the sewer system, stormwater management, and then once all of that underground stuff has been updated, replaced as required, looking at what to then put back on top of that infrastructure in terms of the transportation network needs and the streetscaping. Um, Within that, we've gone through various rounds of design options for the transportation network and streetscaping, which culminated with an open house back in November, I believe it was. Time has flown very quickly for me. The rest of the stuff that's underground very much has like a single design approach to it, where there's a set of technical criteria that we are working to meet, and there's basically like one solution kind of that proceeds through for those, whereas there had been more options and stuff that we had discussed about the streetscaping and transportation network, which I also know I've talked to you about numerous times over the last few months. So the biggest showcase item that we had back in the fall was our open house for the design concepts. So it was run by our partners at Upland, who came out and put on this open house where we had large panels showing what the road corridor would look like with a couple different options. One where there was a multi-use path going down one side that then switches over versus an option where there was an enhanced pedestrian realm. The main difference between those two, or one of the largest differences between those two, was accommodation of cyclists. The multi-use path does accommodate them. The pedestrian enhanced realm did not. But also looked at some streetscaping elements as well to get a sense of the types of streetscaping features like benches and uh, garbage cans and those sorts of things that people like aesthetically, so that the streetscaping group can add in components that match with what is desired by residents of the town. Um, so overall, what we heard from that round of engagement was that the multi-use path option was the preferred design of the two, both online and in the in-person participants, because there was a online component that people could provide that feedback. Um, Pretty standard with any sort of multi-use pathway. There were some concerns that were raised about having many types of users sharing the same path, because when you have people walking, biking, scootering, like everybody's doing those at different speeds, and not always the most comfortable at times. Um, like and but those are some things that can be mitigated through good education, good signage, reminding people how to share trails and pathways responsibly. I know I'm guilty of it sometimes as I'm walking my golden retriever who wants to say hi to everybody. She just darts across the path all the time. But reminding people that they have to keep dogs on leashes and keep them well under control and all that sort of thing. And there were also some concerns raised about the need to cross Hampton Road near Landing Court. If you remember, the multi-use path option stays on, we'll say, the plaza side of the road through from the intersection with Pettingill up to Landing Court, at which point we show it crossing over to the opposite side so that it would eventually lead people in the direction of the arena and the schools that are further up that way, that are on the opposite side of the road through there. Um, and this concern we would expect to mitigate through adding in a island for people to be able to kind of take refuge on as they're crossing the road through there, as well as having a crosswalk system that's appropriate for the amount of traffic and space that people need to cross. And then in terms of the street furniture, most people preferred style one, which is very similar to the type that is already in existence in the town. So a fairly conventional style of furniture, not one of the more artistic styles that were shown as options. And just as a reminder, so that option one multi-use path, at least in one portion, looks a little bit something like this, where we would actually be narrowing the road from 4 lanes down to 3 in one of the stretches in order to create space for the multi-use path without encroaching on rights of way and staying away from the sharp drop-off that's on the plaza side of the road through part of the corridor. The 3-lane section should be sufficient to be able to handle the traffic demand for the corridor while providing better space for active transportation users to be able to use to be able to move around the corridor as well. Now, there's a lot of other infrastructure that we're looking at as well, as I mentioned off the top. So in terms of the next steps for the project, we're underway with detailed design. There's a lot of infrastructure to design, but we are working diligently on it. And that includes a new water service that would run along Hampton Road, including a pressure reducing valve near Clarwood Drive that we're close to having a concept design completed for. Um, and also looking at continuing the service that's along Clarwood Drive that I believe basically stopped at the interface between Cedar Ridge and Clarwood in that sort of ballpark. And the desire is to connect that into Hampton Road and have two water mains that are connecting into that space. Um, in terms of the storm sewer, so managing stormwater runoff through the corridor, the review that our team did using CCTV footage of inspection going through the storm sewer system found that most of the existing pipe is in poor condition and needs to be replaced. So we're looking at doing that while we have the road opened up. And also realigning catch basins to where the new curbs are going and making some modifications as required to help to alleviate some of the capacity issues where there'd be ponding next to grates because there's just not enough grates in some of the spaces to handle the amount of inflow that would be required is being demanded of the system. So to try to help address some of those issues as best we can, working within kind of the limited space of the study area. The sanitary sewer system was in pretty good shape, only requiring spot repairs in a few locations to be able to get it up to acceptable standard. And as I mentioned, in terms of transportation and the streetscape, looking at implementing that multi-use path option alongside some of the streetscaping considerations. And further, we're working towards completing the design as soon as possible to make the most use of the coming construction season. Ideally, trying to link this as well as possible with the DTI provincially designated highway funding that's available for repaving that section of road this year. We do plan to come out and talk to you all again once the detailed design is complete, having a follow-up open house where at this point, not necessarily looking for detailed feedback on the design, that will be completed at that point, but we'll be able to talk about what the impacts of the show people what the final design is, as well as talk about the impacts from construction and how we plan to go about mitigating those, because we know that this is a very busy area and that's going to be a very large concern for residents. We also plan on having ongoing updates on Social Pinpoint, that platform as the project is moving ahead, and just continuing to coordinate with town staff to keep the project moving forward as quickly as we can, while while also completing all of our required engineering due diligence. And that was it for my update presentation.
Thank you so much. I will pass this over to anyone who may have a comment, and I think first would be Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much for the presentation. Every time I see it, I have a question. Something new pops into my head. So the first question I have is, what assumption did you use or projection for the growth in the traffic for this road? So 10 years out, what type of assumption did you use for what that growth looks like?
I can't remember exactly what percentage we used for it. Usually we use something in the ballpark of 1 to 2% growth per year, but it's been a while since I've actually done the analysis. I can't remember the growth percentage we used, but we did look at it over a 20-year period. So we did the analysis for the existing conditions as well as looking at it 20 years from now with 1 to 2% growth over that time frame. So if I split the difference, you'd be talking about like 30% more traffic on the road. And we used that to evaluate whether or not reducing to 3 lanes was appropriate, and what the impacts of that would be at some of the intersections, how well the signalized intersections hold up, with that increased traffic. So, I mean, a 30% boost is a very significant increase, and I know the town is also growing significantly. So, you know, time will tell how reasonable that assumption is, but that was the approach we used.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer, Andrew. Anyone else like to make a, Deputy Mayor, you have a follow-up question?
No, thank you for the answer on the growth, because, you know, with growth comes extra cars and potential buses and whatnot. So, but my other question is regarding the path, the multi-use path. It, when I look at this design, it shows the sidewalk is staying. I thought I heard at one point that the sidewalk wasn't going to stay, that it would be replaced by a multi-use path. So I'm a little confused on the picture I'm looking at. And if I'm going up the Hampton Road towards the high school, which side is the path on if the sidewalk is being eliminated?
Great question. It is a little confusing. So in this option, we are replacing the sidewalk on one side with a multi-use path, but maintaining the sidewalk on the other side. So on the side that just has the sidewalk, that would be, you know, continue to be accessible for pedestrians to be able to go through. But not accessible for cyclists or some like of the wheeled users. But on the other side where we have the multi-use path, it'd be accessible to all those users. So in some places we may, there may be a desire to replace the existing sidewalk. Um, well, in the sides where we're leaving sidewalk, there may be a need to go in and replace it due to poor condition or things like that. Or if the curb is currently right up against the sidewalk, it might just be easily damaged when trying to remove and relocate the curb, and that might require some replacements. But we should be leaving the ability to walk on both sides of the road through the whole corridor. And then to that, the follow-up question, I know the follow-up question was contingent on us not being allowed to walk on both sides. But the trail from, or the multi-use path from Landing Court up to Pinewood would be on what eventually becomes the high school side of the road. Clearly our study area doesn't extend all the way out to the high school. But our intention of that was we assumed that most of the people who would be walking along the pathway through our study area to eventually get to the arena and the school and those places would make that transition across within our study area and keep going up the trail until that ends, and then they would continue along on the sidewalk.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I don't see any further comments or questions. Mr. Northmore, thank you very much for being here and representing Englobe this evening on the reimagined Hampton Road. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Oh, I guess there is a comment. Okay, just hold on.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's just a motion to, I'd move council thank Andrew Northmore, as you just did, from Englobe for the updated presentation on Hampton Road Corridor, and look forward to the next steps.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Bigger and seconded by Councillor Miller. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Now you may go and have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, Your Worship. You too.
Thank you. Item number 6A, proposed public hearings. Proposed zoning bylaw amendment number 038-54, fee schedule, staff report from the development officer, planning, and the development services manager. Written comments, there were none received. And I would read this. So this is a public hearing. So we have acknowledged this evening the request to and plans to consider amending municipal plan number 054, zoning bylaws number 38. We have set this day aside and place for a public hearing. Notes that anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed bylaw amendment will be heard and considered by council. Each person wishing to speak would approach the podium, and you would have 5 minutes to address council. So planning staff, if you would like to provide an executive summary, you may do that.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through Your Worship to council. So the proposed bylaw amendment that's before council is to introduce a new development fee schedule. The development fee schedule has been sort of an outline of what's being presented, is proposed in the staff report as well as the actual schedule is attached. So what we're looking to do as council aware, in 2023, we introduced development permits as a result of the changes to the Building Code Administration Act. Some of the fees that we were collecting under the development permit process were in the building bylaw, so the authority was still there to collect the fees. However, what we're trying to do is bring them over to aligned with the zoning bylaw under which the development permit is being issued. We are also looking at just introducing a couple of new categories. Those are with respect to the level of effort that's undertaken to review site work as it relates to development permits being issued. Those are relative to subdivision development as well as multi-residential development type projects. So we get these drawings that come in, they obviously go through a level of review from a planning perspective, but also engineering perspective, as well as the ongoing inspections as it relates to the administration of those files and the permits. So introducing a fee to reflect that level of service and the level of effort required. And there's also a slight increase in zoning confirmation letters that's being introduced through this process. Again, that's just a reflection of the number of these that we get, and then the level of effort to review the records that we have to provide that information. Those are generally requested during land transactions to make sure the lands are in keeping with the municipal plans and there's no outstanding work orders or deficiencies that obviously would be inherited by a potential purchaser of that property. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Colburn. We've had the presentation. I will now ask 3 times, as per our procedure, if anyone would like to speak for or against the amendment. Would anyone like to speak for or against the amendment? Would anyone like to speak for or against the amendment? Seeing that there are none, we have PAC's written reviews, and council members may now ask questions, and then a motion may be presented and voted upon. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Chair, I'm prepared to put a motion forward. I would put forward a first reading be given to the amendment to bylaw number 08038, a bylaw of the municipality of Quispamsis respecting zoning as outlined in the amendment number 08-54.
Thank you. First reading has been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. We will look now to the second reading. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
I move that second reading be given to the amendment to bylaw number 038, a bylaw of the municipality of Quispamsis respecting zoning as outlined in the amendment number 038-54.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, and seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Moving on to minutes of the previous meeting. Councillor Donovan, please.
Thank you. I'd move that the minutes for the December 16th, 2025 regular meeting be approved as presented.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Miller on the question. Please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Moving on to item 8A, unfinished business. 8A, Woodley Park Subdivision, Phase 29, Council Assent. Staff report from Director of Planning and Development. Councillor Olson, please.
I'd move council grant assent to the Woodley Park subdivision tentative plan, subject to execution of a subdivision development agreement, the issuing of a development permit for construction based on approved engineered design drawings as per the subdivision bylaw, and town specifications, and the final subdivision plan to have an alternate name for Dunree Court that satisfies NB 9-11 Master Street Address Guide requirements.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Bigger on the question. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
No, I was going
Oh.
to second the motion.
Okay. Councillor Luck.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to, I think, Mr. Logier or perhaps Mr. Colburn. I'm not sure who would know the answer. I'm just wondering, I know originally when this was proposed, there was some concerns by a lot of the residents that live on Queensberry around just water management. And, you know, I really appreciate the town and the developer working together to find a solution for some of their concerns. And I'm just, the one thing I didn't see in the reviewing the package was, you know, just in terms of kind of the follow-up with residents or just kind of closing that conversation, like, are they aware of the changes? And I'm assuming that, you know, we haven't heard from them, so everything is good on that part in terms of understanding kind of the modifications to the original plan for kind of stormwater management.
Thank you, Councillor Luck. Mr. Colburn, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Worship. So, as council is aware, this particular subdivision came before council in July, and council had made a motion that the developer work with staff as well as take into consideration the concerns of the residents regarding street grade and stormwater management. The developer, who is present tonight, stepped back and in working with his consulting engineer, reduced the street grade down to 10%. In terms of the stormwater management, the stormwater management plan, it satisfies the requirements of the subdivision specifications and guidelines. In addition to that, the data that was used in stormwater modeling considered 1 in 100 year, and then it was scaled out to include climate change, which demonstrates an overall stormwater management plan that sees the water that's flowing in terms of from the outlets of this particular development is a reduction in terms of what is currently happening in that particular property. Through the process, once we received the revised plans, they went back through PAC in order to seek a variance as the street grade was going to 10%, which is permitted subject to a variance within our bylaw, so it met that particular aspect. Part of that process was to provide notice to the residents. If I recall correctly, there was some, I think 70 letters that went out. We received response back from 3 residents regarding the revisions. There was an opportunity for them to present their concerns to the Planning Advisory Committee, which did happen. There was an opportunity for them to attend the meeting. One of the residents did attend, present again their concerns regarding the stormwater management side. At that particular meeting, the consulting engineer attended to address those questions. At this particular juncture, they were aware that this particular item was coming to council tonight. The information is made available to them, obviously, through posting on the agenda. And it's my understanding there's direct emails from the clerk to one of the residents who was inquiring about it being on the agenda, wondering just in terms of the process of decision-making. So they've been made aware of the process through PAC as well as council. And at this particular time, what has been presented to staff and presented to PAC meets the requirements of the subdivision bylaw and specifications that are currently enacted by council. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Colburn. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, Mr. Colburn. Two questions. One's just a typo issue. When it says local easement government services, if you read down in there, it says the easements belong to the town of Rothsay, which probably want to change that to town of Quispamsis before we stamp. My question is the easement part, and I read it, and it's, we got the rip rock and all the other stuff, which sounds great, but they talked about a retaining pond too, and is that in the easement? I'm trying to, it said a lot that it was attached to, but looking at all the numbers, I couldn't place it, and I don't see it in the actual drawing, so that was kind of my question on the retention pond.
Through you, Your Worship, so the location of the retention pond is actually at the end of the court. So you have a court that runs parallel, kind of, I'll use parallel, to Queensberry. Then the town owns a tract of land in there. That will be where the site of the stormwater retention pond is. That was potentially at one point indicated for sort of a future street to go in and around. That's where that pond will be located.
Thank you. The motion was made by Councillor Olson and seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Item 8B, 355 Hampton Road. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Thompson was not here for the public session, so she had to remove herself from this meeting. 355 Hampton Road, PID 30220644 and 00250787. Request to amend development agreement. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
I'd be ready to make a motion that council decline the request to further amend the development agreement, which is in keeping with the recommendations of PAC on the basis that the terms of the amendment agreement to permit the storage arrangement on the property was temporary to benefit the Ascension Elevating Device, Inc., which no longer exists. As such, the storage requirement is no longer required.
Thank you. It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question, Councillor Olson?
No?
No? Please vote. Motion carried 6-0. Going to 8C. Should we have Councillor Thompson return? Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Miller. We'll wait until you return. Okay. 8C. We'll wait until Councillor Thompson returns. Okay. Oh, yes. I'm not sure. Item 8C. (213) Hampton Road, PID 002-49854 and 301-0276 from Central Commercial to Integrated Development rezoning application. And we have Mr. Andrew Dunn here with us. He is the developer. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. Just 1 second, please. So again, this is a public hearing. Nope. Oh, Dwight, okay.
Thank you, Worship, through you, Worship. So the application for 213 Hampton Road, which would see a integrated development at that particular location. We did a public presentation, which placed the project for public feedback in a 30-day period. That period is now closed. Through that process, there were some concerns that were received. Obviously, they're outlined in the staff report. Some of them are around in terms of just impacts to neighboring properties. There was questions around obviously servicing. This is, as council is aware, contingent on municipal water making its way down the Hampton Road. There was concerns around stormwater management and traffic management. All of those obviously are been relayed to the developer, and part of this through this process, as they would get into engineering design drawings, the concerns around stormwater management obviously would have to be met, presented to the town and accepted by the town, as well as the traffic management. Those things would be part of the process moving forward towards approvals and permitting. So at this stage, if council has any further questions, then obviously we're open to those questions. It's been outlined, the concerns have been outlined in the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Colburn. I will go to Councillor Bigger, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move council direct the town clerk to set a public hearing date and notify the public as per the Community Planning Act and refer the item to the Planning Advisory Committee for their written comments.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Bigger, seconded by Councillor Luck. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you very much for being here this evening virtually, Mr. Dunn, and we will be in contact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. Correspondence from Councillor Miller, an update requested on provincial and federal funding. Councillor.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, as our building season is going to start soon, and we got a $12 million expenditure going down with water and the road. I'm very happy for our friends in Rothsay. I saw last week they got $6 million to their complex from the province. Just before the election happened, they got $7 million from the feds. So they've got $13 million in total. They also got some money from the feds for their sewage lagoon, I believe, as well. I don't know how many million that was. We have applied many times for the Housing Accelerator Fund, and we have been told or denied for the last few. We are very hopeful, and we were told that we would get something in this Housing Accelerator Fund that was in public and presented to us and on the website. So with the season coming up and the costs, I just wanted to know, with all the things we're doing, is there any update from provincial funding or federal funding? Provincial funding, I know we got part of the DTI, but it's their road. Hampton is the provincial portion. Is there any update on the Housing Accelerator Fund, or whatever word it's being used, whatever fund we're trying for now, and where we're at? Because we got a major expenditure coming that we're going to be doing it, but we still haven't got funding for it. And I look at our friends in Ross, say that the rink is great, or the community center, but they've been talking about that for many, many years, and they've waited and waited, and they've got their funding. So anyways, just kind of an update, because we've got 2 MLAs here as well, and 1 MP looks after our region. So just trying to see where we're at. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. And I can give you an update. Mr. Watson and I are in contact weekly with our MP, and we are also in contact weekly with our MLA. So it is not from lack of presence and of reminding them and sitting down and discussing with them many times over what we need and what we are hoping for. If you have any recommendations, I am all ears. But that is all I can tell you, is that we are just told that they're still working on it and that they will contact us. But instead, Mr. Watson and I have taken the bull by the horns, and we contact them regularly, at least weekly, sometimes more than that. Thank you. Item number 10, bylaws, proposed building bylaw amendment, number 05501, staff report from Development Officer, Planning and Development Services Manager, consideration of first and second reading. Councillor Donovan, please.
Thank you. It would appear that we've already done first reading, so I guess I would move that second reading be given to an amendment to bylaw number 055, a bylaw of the municipality of Quispamsis respecting building, as outlined in amendment number 055-01.
Thank you, Councillor Donovan. We've got a little glitch here.
Yeah, I know. So just read the motion for the first reading.
Read the first one, please.
And I'll correct it in e-scribe. It's just a little technical glitch here.
Councillor Donovan, please.
Yep, first reading be given to an amendment to bylaw number 055, a bylaw of the municipality of Quispamsis respecting building, as outlined in amendment number 055-01.
It's been moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Olson. On the question,
Just a verbal or hand.
please raise your hand if you are in favor of this motion. Motion carried unanimously.
And there is a second reading.
Yes.
And that one should be fine.
The second reading, Councillor Olson.
Second reading be given to an amendment to bylaw number 055, a bylaw of the municipality of Quispamsis respecting building, as outlined in amendment number 055-01.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Miller. On the question, Councillor Luck, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would have asked this sooner, but my computer's acting extra slow tonight. So I was just trying to find it. So one question I had was in, I think, number 1E. It talks about, in case of demolition, the following fees shall apply. So where an accessory building servicing a single dwelling unit is being demolished and replaced, no fee shall apply. So if we're tearing it down and rebuilding it, we have to pay. But if someone wants to tear an accessory building down and not replace it is $25. And I guess I'm just wondering, sometimes policy drives behavior, and a lot of times. And I guess in terms of reading that, I'm just wondering, you know, we do have a bylaw around like unsightly premises, like is that going to deter people if we're forcing them to pay a fee to take down a dilapidated building? Because anyway, I just, when I read that, I thought, well, if they're replacing it, they don't have to pay anything, but then it says we're going to charge them if they're taking it down and not replacing it. So I just didn't know if that would basically either people would ignore it and do it anyway and not follow the policy to begin with, or would people just leave a dilapidated building that should be torn down because of just, you know, they're being charged for it. So anyway, I just thought I would question that kind of the rationale of why we wouldn't charge them if they're taking it down and replacing it, but then we would charge them if they're just taking it down. I'm assuming they're taking it down because it's in disrepair. So if someone could explain that, that'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Luck. Mr. Colburn, would you like to address the question? Councillor Luck, do you have the page reference on that?
Second page, point E, I, and II.
E-I-I-I.
No.
Thank you, Worship. Through you, Worship. At this time, I can offer that I'll go back and revisit that to make sure there wasn't some sort of typo happening here. Normally, when an accessory building is taken down, if it's the same size and all those types of things, there should still be a fee applied to it. And in terms of a dilapidated structure, the unsightly bylaw would kick in to govern that. In most cases, we would look at working with the property owners to simply remove the building and not be charging a fee. So I can offer that I can go back and revisit that if that's acceptable at this stage. Yeah, first and second reading still okay. We just have to make sure we're aligned with prior to third reading.
Okay,
Thank you, thank you, Worship.
thank you. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the question, Councillor Luck and Mr. Colburn for the explanation. I also think if you tear down your build, you have to pay a fee for your new. So we're going to get a fee one way or the other. If you're if you're ripping it down, then you get it, and not replacing, you get a fee. If you rip it down, but then you got to build something else, you're going to get a fee for the building, and plus it'll help. It'll also go, depending on the building, would potentially add to your taxes as well. So either way, the town has to do a process. So it's to get the fee somehow. So that's I think what you were saying as well. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. And on the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. 10B, proposed remuneration bylaw amendment number 018-10, staff report from Chief Administrative Officer. Mr. Watson, please.
Yep, thank you, Your Worship, and through you to members of council. Just to refresh council's memory with respect to our progress here, we had come to council and had some initial discussion around three major sections of the current remuneration bylaw: salary of members, allowances for expenses, and consideration of extended health benefits. After some discussion last time, staff was directed to do a deeper dive and come back. So the enclosures that are in your package today reflect that deeper dive. And as a result, staff are bringing you three recommendations, one each for each section of the bylaw. Specifically for salary of members, we're continuing to recommend no fundamental change to the compensation rates, the base compensation rates for mayor, deputy mayor, and councillors, but rather to continue to adjust those rates in accordance with the Consumer Price Index as articulated in the current bylaw. For allowances for expenses, we are recommending that language be introduced to allow for a CPI-related increase in that amount every year, which would be new, and that we be permitted, that individual members of council be permitted to exceed their individual budget allocation by a maximum of 20% with prior written approval from both the mayor and CAO, and again, provided the total budget amount allows at the time of the requested expense. We did definitely hear, I think it was Deputy Mayor had rightfully identified that there's a bit of a potential process hiccup there in the way we manage that. And you're right in that if that additional flexibility is capitalized on by council members early in the year, it means that there's consequently less available later in the year. So it's certainly something we're willing to do. It's not difficult for us to manage on your behalf if that's flexibility that is helpful to members of council and is reflective of the interest that we had heard. And on the third, extended health benefits, while we did express last time that municipalities are not having council members participate in employee-sponsored health plans, that remains true in that there are no cost-sharing arrangements with council members and employers for contribution to extended health benefit plans. And that's really by virtue of the relationships that you have with the municipalities, not as employees of those municipalities. However, there are some municipalities that do offer that flexibility for council members to pay 100% of the premium in order to secure those extended health benefits. We have discussed that with the provider for our extended health benefit plans. They do not offer that option. So it's kind of a moot point in terms of the availability of extended health benefits. Honestly, if it was council's reaction to say, well, why don't we pursue other providers, we would be very likely securing the exact same rate that you'd be provided if you were to call them and ask for private healthcare coverage. So there doesn't seem to be a strong rationale for doing so. So as a result, it would be our recommendation that we move forward with the directions that have been, or the suggestions that we are being provided, and that we'd seek legal review before returning to council for first and second readings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Watson. Moving forward, Councillor Olson.
Yes, I'd move council direct staff to draft revisions to bylaw 018 accordingly, seeking legal review before returning to council for first and second readings.
It's been moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Scryer. On the question. Deputy Mayor Scryer?
No.
Please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Item number 11, new business. Capital Renewal Fund, Capital Renewal Plan 2026 to 2029, staff report from Treasurer. And again, this is just a matter of sort of cleaning up paperwork. This is a request from the provincial government. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to move be it resolved that the document entitled Quispamsis 2026-2029 Capital Renewal Plan, CRP, for the Capital Renewal Funding, CRF, allocation be adopted as presented.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Deputy Mayor Scryer. On the question. That's what happens when you try to speak too quickly. Please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Item 13A, nominating committee. Oh, sorry. Somebody's got to keep me on track here. we're looking at 11B, Canby-Cases Valley Fire Department. Draft Administration Agreement, staff report from Chief Administrative Officer. However, Councillor Miller, would you like to speak to this? You've been longest on the board. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Yes, yes, I will speak to this. Thank you so much. But I'd also be remiss if I didn't advise council. I think they're well aware. But Chief Boyle has accepted another position outside of the fire department, and he has tendered his resignation. We're sad to see him go, but we're super happy for the new opportunity that has presented itself to himself. On top of that, we are in the midst of looking at the replacement for the chief. There's actually a meeting tomorrow with our CAO, and I'll explain that in the what the agreement's about. But I just wanted to thank Chief Boyle for all of his years of service. He's been with our fire department almost 20 years. So he will be missed, but we're super happy for him and the new opportunity that has been presented to himself. So I do thank you that. So as far as the agreement, just for those who are not aware, prior to COVID, or when COVID happened, the administration of the fire board was the CAO of each town. In the last few years, due to COVID, Mr. Jarvie, who has since retired from Rosse, has been the acting CAO, the administrator. Starting this year, and every 2 years hence, it will convert from one town to the other. Mr. Watson will be the administrator for the next 2 years, and after that, it will go back over to Rosse. So equal sharing back and forth. So this document here is just in reflection of that new agreement. And again, we have to sign an agreement every few years to make sure we're up to speed. There's always some changes in terminology and things like that, but that in essence is what this is all about. So again, some of you, or I'm looking around, I think half of the council has been on the fire board at one point. So they would be aware of this, but anyways, just wanted to, those two items, what we're going to be voting on passing. Rosse has already passed this and sent it back to the fire department. But again, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Mr. Boyle. So thank you.
thank you. And would you like to make the motion?
Oh, sorry, I didn't do the motion.
Let's get there.
Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, thank you, sorry, Your Worship. I move that council authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the Canby-Cases Fire Department, Inc. Administration Agreement as presented.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Miller and seconded by Councillor Olson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Item 11C, MPSF Developments, Inc., Subdivision Phase 3, Council Assent, Staff Report from Director of Planning and Development. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move the council grant assent to the MFSP SF Developments, Inc. Tentative Subdivision Plan, subject to execution of the subdivision development agreement and issuing of a development permit for the construction of public streets and storm water management as per the subdivision bylaw and town specifications.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question, Deputy Mayor Squire.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Mr. Colburn, I just had a question regarding the wetland. When it says a small wetland area that will permanently impact that will be permanently impacted during the construction of the road of the future Street B. But could you just expand a little bit on that so I understand exactly what you mean by impacted? Are they gonna put it back, or I don't know if you can put a wetland back or not?
Mr. Coburn, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through your worship to Deputy Mayor. So what that indicates is that there has been delineated and identified a wetland. So when the road goes to be constructed at some point in the future, there would have to be an application that's presented to the Department of Environment. The Department of Environment would review the application. In this particular case, the question would be asked around, can the wetland be restored or any portion thereof? When you're constructing the road, obviously the wetland would be permanently destroyed. So that's why we say it permanently impacts, which means there would be compensation for that particular portion of the wetland that's being destroyed. So essentially, the Department of Environment would set a compensation amount based on the total area being destroyed. That usually goes to Ducks Unlimited.
Thank you, Mr. Coburn. It's been moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Item number 12 is reports. They are there for your reading. Item number 13, business arising from Committee of the Whole. Nominating, oh, sorry. Oh, are we okay? Okay. Nominating committee recommendation for Planning Advisory Committee from the December 16th, 2025 meeting. Councillor Donovan, please.
Thank you. I'd move that council accept the nominating committee's recommendations to appoint Susan Baxter to the Planning Advisory Committee for a 3-year term effective January 1st, 2026, expiring December 31st, 2028.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Scryer. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Motion to return to. We'll adjourn first, and I see Councillor Olson's light flashing. Moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Once again, we'd like to thank Chief Mike Boyle for his dedication to his career here in the Kennebecasis Valley as a firefighter, and we wish him well in his new endeavors, and we look forward to seeing who will fill those big boots. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.